Hi there everyone, it's Alex and welcome back to another Drummer Artificer Studios. Today we are going to make a DIY home photo studio to be able to take pictures of some pieces you might be making. So I've started teaching again, and with COVID still being a thing, everything is virtual. So my students have toolkits they've been able to check out and take home with them, but they still have to document their work somehow. So I decided to show them an easy way of putting together a tabletop photo studio to be able to try to take some better quality photos of their work. To accomplish that, I watched some other videos on YouTube about how to do things like this, and I went to a local big box store and picked up everything I would need for roughly around 30 bucks. You can do it for cheaper because some of this you might already have stuff for. But we are primarily building the entire thing out of a medium cardboard box and some poster board. So the first step is obviously going to be you have to assemble your box. Before I actually put it together, I'm going to come through on one of the edges and cut off the flaps because I only need one side of the box to close. Now for this I'm using a heavy-duty shipping box that is 16 inches cubed. I wanted to go with the slightly larger box here, because I wanted to be able to put some larger pieces in it to be able to take pictures of it. So with those front fins off, I'm just going to assemble the box. Just use some regular packing tape to close it up. It doesn't have to be a perfect closure because we are going to be putting poster board on the inside of it to give it a uniform finish. But I'm going to put plenty of tape on it because I want it to be nice and rigid. Okay. And there's the beginning of our photo studio. So the next step is going to be to take my poster board and cut pieces to go on the two sides and the top. So for this, I'm using a white poster board, but you have to be very specific. You do not want a lined poster board because you don't want the lines to show up in your photo. So one side of the poster board is lined, or is a semi-gloss, and one side is more of a matte. I am using the matte finish specifically because I don't want that little bit of the sheen from the semi-gloss to affect the photo. I want a matte background for this. So I have the two measurements I need for the two sides. It's 15 7/8 by 15 1/8. Now that will vary based off of what box you're using. So I now have to cut this out. To do that, I need a straight edge. I do not have a full ruler down here, so I will have to find something and improvise. So I've decided what I'm going to do to get it is I'm going to mark both sides, and then I'm actually going to use my secondary cutting mat here as my straight edge. So this one needs to be 15 1/8. And then that can go right on top. And I'm being careful not to try and cut in a single pass. With mat boards and cardstocks and things like that, you don't want to try and do it in a single pass because that's when your blade will start to waver and you'll end up ripping or tearing the material, or you'll be putting so much force that your ruler will move out of the way. So you want to try and do it in multiple passes to make sure you got a clean straight line. So now I need to do align at 15 7/8. To mirror that one. And again, I'm going to use my cutting mat as my ruler. Line it up. And cut away. Okay. So now with that cut, I can test fit it in my box. Make sure it fits the way I want it to, which it does. So now that will get taped in place, both with some tape on the back, and I will put some tape along the edges to hold it in place. And then I will just replicate that process for the other 3 sides. Okay, so I cut the 2 sides in the top. It's important to try and do each of them individually instead of cutting them all the same size because the box will vary. And then for the rest of the box, what I did is I cut a piece that was just the width of the box and left it the full 28 inches of the poster board because I have it wedged up in the top and then I have it curving down to the bottom. And I do that so that when I take the photo, I don't have a break in the background. I can put the piece over here, take the picture of it, and I can have more of the general curve here. What I might end up for personal is come back in and cut some more of this away to make it easier to get in and take a picture from the side of it. But to begin with, this is what I'm starting with because it's plain and simple and easy. So now that the actual physical construction of the box is done, we have to handle the light source. You can't really have light coming in from the sides because it will just cast shadows. You have to have something coming in directly from the top. You can use all sorts of stuff for that. For mine, I am just using a standard clip-on shop light. So what I'm going to do is I'm centering the reflector of it roughly over the top of the box. And I'm going to trace it. Now I'm not cutting that whole thing out. I don't need it all. I'm going to come in a little bit and just draw a rough line here. And what that will do is give me a lip that my light can sit on. I'll then cut that inner circle out and then cut the poster board out underneath of it. You don't have to worry about being too careful or precise with this because you won't see it. And you're cutting it far enough out, and this is a large enough light that it shouldn't cause any problems with shadows. So now that I have that cut out, I'm going to come back in with some of my tape and just tape up the poster board so that it doesn't sag, and just kind of secure it up to the top of the box. That should really be all I need. Next step is just to attach my light. Now the light on its own, depending on what you use, might still be a little brighter than you necessarily want it to be. But you can make or buy a diffuser to put over the light so it isn't as harsh and you won't necessarily have the glare coming off. I am just using a standard daylight brightness LED bulb to do this. And there we have our homemade photo studio. So there you have it. For about 30 bucks and about an hour's worth of work, I was able to build a small tabletop home photo studio. Now, obviously for some stuff, it's going to be a little bit too small because you're going to be able to see the lines on the edges and everything, but for doing small parts, small pieces, jewelry assignments, stuff like that, this will work a lot better than just taking a picture of it on an empty table. So you can always try to scale this up if you wanted, but this is pretty much the exact same style and techniques that they would use in building a large room size one, just drastically scaled down. So hopefully you guys were able to find that interesting and useful. If you guys want to give this a try to try and document some of your own work a little bit better, please feel free to use all of this information. And if you have any questions trying to put it together, reach out and ask. I'll be willing to help you try to figure anything out. As always, this has been Alex. You've been watching Drummer Artificer Studios. See you next time.